Say hello. So Ava can watch this. Rob, because she's going to watch this. Say hello nicely.
Hello, nicely.
Silly Daddy, isn't he, Ava?
I like cuddles.
Do you like cuddles with Daddy?
Yeah.
You give him a kiss, that's nice.
Toys! Toys!
Cuddles with my girls. 1, 2, 3.
I want to be a princess when I grow up.
Raspberry picking!
You're doing it all by yourself.
Swing!
Sussex police are investigating after the bodies of 4 people were discovered at a house in Woodmancote, West Sussex.
Kelly Fitzgibbons, Ava aged 4 and Lexi aged 2 suffered fatal gunshots.
Robert Needham, also dead, the shotgun in his hands.
Just 6 days after the start of the national lockdown in March 2020, builder Robert Needham shot dead his partner, Kelly Fitzgibbons, and their 2 daughters, Ava, who was 4, and Lexi, who was 2.
It's very much a live, ongoing murder investigation.
I went into that house and it was just a busy family house. Little girls' toys, pictures on the wall and reward charts. What he's done to his partner and his 2 little girls, it turns your kind of fundamental understanding of what being a parent, being a human being, is all about. It turns it upside down. Robert had no history of violence with the police. There was no record of domestic abuse between them. This was just a shocking event that seemed to just come out of nowhere.
I just felt as though someone had poured something through my body. There was something really hot. I've never had a feeling like it. It can't be right, this can't be true.
I just fell to the floor and I just screamed out, "They're all dead."
I spent hours and days and nights thinking, have we missed anything?
An extensive forensic investigation does continue.
Troubles me every day. Why? We always liked dancing. Me and Kelly spent half the week making up dances. We looked absolutely identical. We had so much fun together, and it was like growing up with my best friend.
Oh, hi.
She was so warm. She'd laugh walking in the room, probably nothing to laugh at, but that was her personality.
Kelly and Emma were the twins that all the girls wanted to be and all the boys wanted to be with. And I was lucky enough to be their best friend, so I felt really honoured.
A lot of our group of friends started settling down and getting married. Kelly was getting a bit bored with going out drinking at the weekend, and she wanted somebody to, you know, go for the walks with, watch some films with. And then Kelly met Rob. She must have been 26. Rob filled that void.
Kelly just settled down when she met Rob. They were really happy. He was quiet, quite introvert, but Kelly wanted to be loved. Rob used to look at Kelly adoringly. He never got annoyed with her. Rob was really dependable.
He was always sending her nice cards and being quite loving.
When I first met Rob, this sort of shy person, Came in with Kelly, disappeared in the bedroom and shut the door, you know.
Socially, Rob wasn't very confident. I thought he's quite shy, but he seemed a nice guy.
If he made Kelly happy, then that was all that we wanted.
Yeah.
I was quite surprised, I remember, at how comfortable she got with him so quickly. Within a year, they were living together. So Rob had always been a builder, and he did well. Kelly was proud of his role because she'd quite often send me pictures of various things he'd done.
Hallway. And this is the main bedroom. It's really cool. Wow!
He was a builder, he liked a beer, you know, he went fishing, so he was quite a stereotypical male.
To everyone who knew him, Robert Needham adored his family.
The reason for the shooting remains unclear.
The ballistics expert attended the scene alongside our forensic team and the forensic scientist. He was able to tell us that 6 shots were fired. All those shots hit their intended target. There was no struggle between 2 parties with the weapon. All that evidence suggests that Kelly was taken by surprise at Rob's actions.
Kelly was absolutely over the moon at the thought of becoming a mum. She took lots of pictures of her bump, you know, had lists of everything that she wanted to buy. It meant the world to her. When she was pregnant, they moved in with Rob's mum. Kelly and Rob lived in the upstairs part. They converted that into a self-contained flat. There was quite a long gravelly road to get up and there wasn't many houses. They were all detached. Great for kids. Ava was angelic. She just had the clearest, beautiful complexion.
Ava, hiya.
She had little sticking out ears like her dad, actually.
Well, he's very gentle, Dad.
Oh.
Never raised his voice.
Rob just absolutely adored her and doted on her.
She's just sucking it, isn't she?
Not like a lump, that bit, is it?
No, it's all liquid.
She swallowed the cow to catch the goat. She swallowed the goat to catch the dog.
Kelly felt supported.
She swallowed the cat to catch the bird.
I think she thought he was a great dad.
She swallowed the swallow to catch the fly. I don't know why she swallowed the fly. Perhaps she'll die.
When Ava was around 16 months, Kelly became pregnant again with Lexi.
Just give her a kiss. Yeah. Lexi Lulubelle. Hello, darling. Hello, you're such a happy little baby.
Lexi was just a mini Kelly. She was much more outgoing and cheeky.
Yeah!
Hello, my baby.
No, thank you, darling. You have it.
Motherhood completed Kelly. It was everything she'd ever wanted.
And this is the tree with all the presents. Here's Daddy!
I find it really hard to believe that he wasn't enjoying family life because he never complained.
Say hello, Robin.
Hello.
Happy first Christmas to Lexi.
Happy first Christmas, Lexi.
But I don't remember Rob ever talking about his feelings. I don't ever remember him talking about himself.
Ava, aged 4, and Lexi, aged 2, were found in the main bedroom having suffered fatal gunshot wounds.
Everybody that went into that property was affected by what they saw. Ava and Lexi were in their parents' bed in the master bedroom. The girls appeared to be wearing pyjamas. Ava was nearest the door. From the ballistics expert, we could tell that Ava had been shot at close range. Lexi was lying next to her. She was also shot at close range. We know Kelly was initially shot on the landing and that she moved into the bedroom. She was on the floor next to the bed. The fatal shot was shot at close range. The family dog was also shot, and Robert was on the landing just outside the bedroom. His injury was in an elective site for self-inflicted death. Quite a lot of our officers spent days in there. It was desperate and shocking.
Ava, it's your first birthday party. Happy birthday, dear Ava.
Talking to Rob, the impression I always had was that he had a lot to be proud of.
Ready? Oh, yay!
Happy birthday.
I don't think he had much time for sort of people showing off, you know, saying, look at me, aren't I wonderful?
I said to Pam, strange Rob, you never know when he's really enjoying himself. He might have a little smile on his face, but never really laughed.
I remember once he said, he goes, to be honest, Tom, I find life quite boring. And that sort of took me aback. That's when I just thought maybe he's not as content as you might think he is.
Rob, say hello. This is a little video for Ava.
Hello.
Say happy birthday to her. Ava!
From that, maybe we should have assessed that something wasn't quite right, but we never did.
Everyone who knew him, Robert Needham adored
Rob
his
Needham
man.
shot Kelly and their children.
Ava, aged 4, and Lexi, aged 2.
At point-blank range.
Before turning the gun on himself. An inquest will reveal more about what happened that fateful evening.
Robert was found with the firearm right next to him. Our role was to find out what happened and potentially try and find out why it had. We spoke to lots of family and friends of Rob and Kelly, and actually they just couldn't imagine he could be responsible. But obviously, in hindsight, people look back and try and find indications of where this has come from, and so what led to this.
Come on, Lou, race.
Well, if Rob was sitting here now, you would think he was the nicest guy in the world.
Clever girl. Ava, where are we? Are we in the Lake District?
I don't know whether he was so underhand and secretive and manipulative that there weren't any signs.
Look at her, Rob.
Or whether Kelly just didn't pick up on it.
Ava, look.
I think we have to accept that we knew nothing about Rob.
You get Dada.
Can I have it? Can I have it? Ava.
Kelly's twin sister, Emma Ambler, said, I thought life was good for Kelly, Rob and the girls.
Rob Needham got a gun licence so he could shoot rabbits.
When Ava was 1 month old, that was the first time that Rob applied for his first gun licence.
I'd never heard Rob ever mention having interest in guns. The first child's come along, and the idea that your mind could be on getting a firearm, the timing does seem extremely odd.
Kelly thought if that's what he wants to do as a hobby. But I don't ever recall her saying, oh, Rob's going shooting today.
Ava, yay. He applied for a gun licence and he had to fill in a form.
Robert Needham, as part of that application form, had to make various declarations, whether he'd had any previous convictions, whether he'd had any relevant past medical conditions. They include depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, alcohol or drug misuse. And he ticked saying no, but his disclosure wasn't accurate.
Say hello. So Ava can watch this. Rob, because she's going to watch this.
He couldn't have lied more times on that application form.
He lied about whether he'd had any previous convictions. His previous convictions were very minor, but, you know, he still lied.
The worst thing is Rob failed to declare a history spanning 20 plus years of mental health problems.
Ahead of the inquest, the family have revealed concerns about the ease in which he obtained a gun licence.
As part of the application process, he had an in-person visit by one of our firearms inquiry officers. The officer told him that we would be doing follow-up inquiries with his GP. At that point, Mr. Needham disclosed that he had, in fact, suffered with mental health problems. Robert Needham was challenged about why he hadn't disclosed that on his initial application form. One of the things that Robert said was it was actually Kelly that had filled in his application form for him.
And that was a downright lie because it wasn't Kelly's writing.
The police didn't delve any deeper. They just accepted Rob's lies.
Ava, who's in the car with you? Dada!
The police actually felt that his reason for not putting it down was justified enough. He seemed like an okay guy. But, you know, this is an application to have a gun.
Get out!
The firearms licensing team did go to the GP. The doctor confirmed that he had indeed suffered with depression and anxiety. He had 3 episodes of mental health illness at various points during his life, but the doctor didn't think that meant that he was unsuitable to hold a shotgun licence.
You know, lots of people have been to the doctors with stress and anxiety. It doesn't mean you're going to murder everybody. If you've been found to be lying, what are you covering up? Why are you covering it up? Isn't that a red flag?
The inquest heard that Robert Needham lied on his original application for a firearms licence, failing to mention he'd been treated for depression and stress.
We saw from his records that he had a mental health history that spanned all of his adult life, some of which was known to the police firearms licensing team, some of which wasn't. We needed to investigate, was there anything Rob himself was going through which could have explained what actions he took? But there was no current mental health record, so whether he was having mental health difficulties at that time or not, we'll never know. It certainly wasn't reported to the GP. Trying to find an answer for why this happened, we need to look quite a way back in the history of Robert and Kelly.
Both the girls loved their dad, but I think Rob found having 2 children harder work.
Kelly would do most of the parenting because Rob would be working. Rob was away for the whole week.
Yeah.
Even weekends sometimes Rob would be working.
Where's Daddy? In his digger? What's he digging?
Digging mud.
Digging mud?
Yeah.
I know, and that was Kelly's ideal world. She wasn't that keen on it.
Pretend Daddy's there. Blow and kiss. Good girl. Say bye, Daddy.
My Daddy.
Love you, Daddy.
Love you, Daddy.
Good girl.
His time away seemed to get longer as the girls were around.
Are you looking forward to seeing Daddy when he comes home?
Yeah.
Do you want him to read you this story?
Yeah.
Sometimes he could have come home and he chose to stay.
Daddy read me stories at home.
Yeah, it'd be good, won't it?
Yeah.
He used to go off weekends, sometimes in the week, fishing.
I think it probably was a form of escapism. From what, I don't know.
Daddy's the best daddy in the whole wide world.
Maybe a time out from family life and just have a bit of, or whatever.
Your mind just wanders down all these paths. If somebody's told that many lies, it's sort of like anything's possible.
There was no doubt that the perpetrator of the heinous act was Robert Needham.
when he had a lump up his nose. I remember Kelly being really upset about what that was. Kelly had been told from Rob that it was caused by him being a builder and all the different things that he would have inhaled over the years.
You put it on there, Lulu. Well, as far as we know, Rob didn't ever tell Kelly the real reasons to what was wrong. This had been caused by continuous use of cocaine.
The doctor said it was a chronic cocaine addiction. He was capable of hiding such huge things, not just from people outside, but from the person that he lived with.
Sometimes I feel frustrated, thinking, why didn't you ask some more questions? Why didn't you check what he was doing? But that was Kelly, that was how she was. She didn't doubt him.
Whose birthday is it? Daddy's.
Thank you.
She was always wanting to plan things to do with him.
Do you want to go?
I don't know really.
So you don't know?
Thanks, Dad.
And what do you mean you don't know?
Trying to make some nice family time.
Oh, you don't sound like you want to go.
I don't know, but I don't know really.
Kelly thought they were just your average, normal family. She was carrying on like normal.
I wanted to get it engraved, but if you look at the back, you can't. Lexi, hi!
Yes, Mum.
If you don't like it, I can take it.
There was a lot going on inside Rob that none of us knew about.
The family who to the outside world appeared strong and stable.
No indication of the inner turmoil he was experiencing.
Daddy's got a beer, as always. Haven't you? Rob?
Yeah.
Are you going to talk to the camera?
No.
For Ava to watch when she's older? No?
It's possible that there were things going on that Kelly chose to ignore
Very pretty.
and just pretended they weren't happening.
I'll stop now.
I think he became less and less reactive.
We're glamping, and it's chucking it down. Let's go to see Dada.
He was becoming more introvert, and he was just learning to keep stuff in.
Daddy's listening to the cricket, Ava, isn't he?
We knew nothing about Rob having a drug habit, nothing at all.
Hey up, Daddy. Hey up, Daddy. Hey up.
Never did a lot around the house.
Hang on, darling.
He lacked motivation.
Too much
maybe
beer.
too much alcohol.
Too
maybe.
much alcohol. He always used to just grab a beer and go and sit down.
He never seemed to be affected by drink. I was always amazed how much he could drink and be totally normal, you know.
We thought that to do what he did, he would have to have been pretty drunk and also high on something. So it was a great surprise when he wasn't.
Robert Needham had used cocaine in the preceding months. Sussex Police was asked about a possible explanation.
Rob's blood and urine was analysed and it showed that he had no drugs and very little, if any at all, alcohol in his system at the time of his death.
Daddy, who's opening the door?
He was therefore completely competent. There was nothing from an intoxicant point of view that could have had an impact on his ability to take action or to consider what to do. That was a shock, a surprise, and that obviously meant that we needed to try and understand what else could be behind his actions on that day.
To be able to do what he's done and shoot in cold blood his whole family, I would say now I think he was some sort of psychopath.
42-year-old builder used his shotgun to kill his partner, Kelly Fitzgibbons, and their 2 children, 4-year-old Ava and 2-year-old Lexi, at point-blank range.
In this investigation, we looked at the messages between Rob and Kelly. In the few months prior to their deaths, we saw conversations that suggested there were some difficulties in their relationship.
There were phases of her not being as happy as we had thought. He was away too much and he wasn't supporting her, but there was obviously a bit more than perhaps Kelly let on to us. She didn't want to impact our view on him, I guess, because she loved him and she wanted their relationship to work. Kelly wasn't scared of Rob at all. I always thought she was completely herself with him. But in hindsight, I was wrong.
I don't believe that, in the case of Kelly and Rob, that you can know what goes on behind closed doors. Nobody knows.
An examination of text messages showed relationship problems in the previous couple of months.
The reason for the shooting remains unclear.
We'd been with Rob and Kelly in the February before this happened. They were talking to us about buying a house, which they were going to rent out.
Hi, girls.
You're not ringing.
I know, I'm talking to them on a voice note. We have found a house in Record Road in Emsworth. We put in an offer a while ago. It's been accepted, but then there were some hiccups with the mortgage, but it all seems to be, fingers crossed, going through okay now. So that's quite exciting.
Kelly definitely said at one point Rob wasn't so keen on the idea. He wasn't quite so enthusiastic as Kelly for doing this.
Rob was definitely the breadwinner in the family, and so I'm sure that did add some pressure on. We looked for reasons that would make Rob do what he's done.
I guess there is a possibility that Rob was spending a lot more than Kelly was aware of and maybe had debts.
Robert Needham had closed his building business after problems with an unpaid £8,000 tax bill, but was still working as a builder, and family members said they didn't believe there were serious money worries.
One of the areas that we looked at was the family's finances. The family were living rent-free at Rob's mum's house. They had just over £25,000 of debt on credit cards and a loan. They owned a property that they rented out and got an income from. They just completed on a second property that they would rent out. I think people's appetite for risk financially is massively different. Some people could look at that financial situation and that would cause a huge amount of anxiety for them, and we simply don't understand and don't know how Rob felt.
Kelly and Rob were together for 14 years. We all wished them a happy anniversary. What we weren't expecting on that day was Kelly texting Rob saying that she wanted to leave him. I think it was a threat to make Rob improve his ways, really. I don't think Kelly loved him. I don't think she would have gone, but Perhaps he didn't know that.
You don't know how these things are going to impact on certain people, do you? Rob maybe didn't deal with these sort of big things in life very well.
So the last time I see Kelly and the girls and Rob was 2 weeks before this all happened. And everything was so normal. Everyone just seemed so, as they would be, so relaxed as ever, you know. Rob said, I'll drop you off at the station if you like. So I said, yeah, that'd be great. And jumped out and said, yeah, thanks for the lift, Rob, you know. See you later, and off he went.
And then a few days after seeing you, Rob did go and buy the gun.
People of the United Kingdom are now being advised to make drastic changes.
Be prepared in that we need to improve our hygiene, because we do know that that is the way.
To stop the disease spreading, people will only be allowed to leave their home for very limited purposes.
So we were almost in lockdown. We were all worried about what was going to happen.
Now they don't want people to go out as much, but everyone's going to be having to go to the shop every few days. So you're allowed basically one of everything, which I get why they...
Rob knew exactly what he wanted. He went out and bought a semi-automatic rifle.
However long we'd been planning it, it culminated to that point. That's when he'd made the decision, when he bought that firearm. He'd known what he was going to do then.
Since Ava was born, Rob had brought a total of 6 guns, but he'd sold them all. He hadn't had a gun for a year. So it feels even more obvious the purpose of buying that gun. Why else would you need to go and get a gun when you've gone into lockdown over COVID?
We will do everything we can to ensure that people get protected throughout.
We have a part to play in this. The objective remains containment.
Now it's fit falling down my face.
Ah, well done.
And those days leading up to that event, Rob was behaving fairly calm and laid back. If going to have a sort of a breakdown or an outburst like that, you'd expect behaviour being erratic or frantic, but there didn't seem any suggestion that was the case, which is very frightening. He was able to operate on one level whilst something else was going on in his mind.
On the 20th of March, we know that Rob tried to find a source of cocaine, and that in that next week he tried another 2 occasions to try and obtain some cocaine. What we don't see is whether he was successful or not.
It was on the Friday that Rob, Kelly and the girls and the dog all went for a walk around Westbourne, which is a lovely little walk around the country lanes.
All of them going out for a walk was quite unusual, quite out of character. Rob wanted to make the most of some last time together, which I know sounds awful and weird and horrible, but that's what I believe it was.
Rob Needham had some financial worries and was frustrated by lockdown. Although he had a history of cocaine use, there was no alcohol or drugs in his system when he fired his weapon.
They'd ordered a playhouse for the girls for the garden. Rob was putting it together for them on the morning of Saturday the 28th.
Some of the behaviour was there to try and normalise the situation or even make it special.
He was putting up that house for his beautiful children that should have had years of playing in it, knowing in his head that they were never going to get to do that. I guess that their very short life was happy. But it just breaks my heart because they were just so young and so beautiful. In the day, I put a video on Instagram of my children doing a dance. So I sent that across to her, about 7. And she said, my son looks so much like you in that video. And I responded and said, do you think so? I never heard back. That was the last communication I had.
We believe the girls were put to bed in the master bedroom in Kelly and Rob's bed.
Kelly would put them a DVD on, and then more often than not, they fell asleep in there.
Then a bit later, Rob ordered a Chinese meal.
I think that came at about 9.
The Chinese meal was definitely eaten by both of them, we know that.
Normally on Saturday night, they'd get a few glasses of wine and watch some telly. He always drunk on a Saturday night. But on that evening, he hadn't drunk hardly anything. I think he wanted to be in control. It was a very clear-headed, intentionally planned murder.
Kelly went to bed early-ish with the girls.
They were in bed while he stayed in the lounge, probably watching TV.
Rob had used that opportunity to go down the stairs and get the bullets. At some point, I think Kelly had gone to the bathroom and Rob went through to the bedroom.
While she was in the bathroom, Rob must have picked up this gun and shot the girls. If he'd shot Kelly first, the girls would have been awake and crying. But nobody reported hearing screaming. Nobody heard anything. Hearing shots, Kelly would have come running out from the toilet.
I don't think she would have ever felt that level of fear.
She'd put her arm up. One bullet had gone through her arm stroke shoulder. Even though she'd already been wounded, she'd made her way from the hallway back into the bedroom. And she was kneeling down by the bed, obviously leaning over to the girls. He shot her in the back of the head at point-blank range. So awful. How can he do that?
If he genuinely loved her, why make her suffer? I just find it so difficult to think about Kelly watching her own children get shot. So I always just have to say in my head that it was the other way around. It's the only way I can manage to process any of it, I think.
And then obviously Rob did the dog in the hallway and then himself, but how much longer later that was, we don't know.
I don't know how long Rob was alive after he'd killed his family, but I'm convinced he was, and for a significant amount of time.
Lexi, blow kiss. Ah. Say hiya. Say hiya.
Kelly Fitzgibbons' uncle alerted police and used a ladder to gain access to the main bedroom before discovering a fatally wounded Ava and Lexi amongst the sheets, his niece on the floor in a pool of blood.
The coroner said the reason for the shooting remains unclear, with a lot to speculate on but little evidence.
Knowing what time each of them died was really important to the family.
The house was divided into two. The family lived upstairs. Rob's mum lived downstairs, so she was a critical witness for us. She had heard what she described as some loud crashes whilst having breakfast at about 9:30 to 10 o'clock. Potentially, that was the discharging of the shotgun. And so I believe that they all died in the morning at the same time.
It's wrong. I'm sure that if Rob's mum did hear any noises, that was Rob killing himself significantly after he'd killed Kelly and the girls.
I can see that Emma believes that Kelly's death took place earlier in the evening and that Rob died later on. But actually, it's not certain.
Robert Needham was found with a single gunshot wound, which a post-mortem report said appeared to be self-inflicted.
When the police fed back the post-mortem results to us, Kelly'd had a full tummy, which would make sense with her then having had a Chinese. But Rob's was only partially full, which would suggest that he'd had longer to digest his food.
We can't tell when the last time was that either Rob or Kelly ate, and therefore we cannot tell from the quantity of food within their stomachs exactly what time they died.
Getting that time frame wrong, I feel, changes the way we look at what he did, because it doesn't really highlight some of the sick, weird behaviours that he demonstrated, I believe, after he'd killed his family.
We know that Rob makes a couple of charity donations, a monthly donation to shelter and a one-off donation to the Red Cross.
It's just so out of character for Rob. In his warped head, does he think that would make people think a bit better of him? He wasn't a bad person because he gave to charity.
And we also know that Rob sent a video clip to a friend at midnight on that Saturday evening.
Rob sent a message to one of his friends, a joke suicide of a man who said, "Me and my wife have made a suicide pact and my wife's just killed herself." And then the man was sat on the bed laughing. And I don't think Kelly was alive at that point.
DCI Charlotte Rimmer of Sussex Police said they thought they would find something, be it in the toxicology tests or the finances, but she added, "We didn't find our answer."
It's really difficult, having worked on it for so long, to not be able to give the families a singular answer about why this happened, and for that to still be unanswered at this point, 2.5 years later.
Lexi says hi. Ava? Now, looking back, I do wonder if having a gun made him feel that he had some type of control.
Ava came along, and within a month after that, he'd applied for a gun licence. Lexi's born. A month later, Rob buys another gun. It was only a week after his dad had passed away that he applied to upgrade from a shotgun to a firearms licence.
Here comes the chopper to chop off your head.
The pattern there tells us that these big emotional things happening in Rob's life, things he doesn't have any control over, his response is the same, and it's very close to that event, and he's turned to those guns.
Now I do wonder if a lot of Rob's life was an act, including the enjoyment of being a dad.
We look for those reasons, don't we? And then you can't find them. And then you think, well, actually, he's just a psychopath. Not that that gives you a reason, but I think it gives you some acceptance that you're not going to understand because there isn't a rationale there. Or if it is, it's so twisted and distorted. But what that makes him, I don't know.
We firmly believe that if Rob hadn't legally had access to a weapon that allowed him to kill them in such a fast and cowardly way, they would still be here now.
Robert Needham lied on his original application for a firearms licence. The coroner said that the system has now been made more robust. The victim's family said they still want further improvements to be made.
I don't think there's anything that Kelly could have done, or anybody else actually, apart from not giving him the gun licence and the gun that would have prevented this.
In Rob's case, no actual real rules were broken. It was just that the process is so feeble that he was able to just get this licence because it's not robust enough.
Some of the key learning from this particular case is that when we have applications, we need to be rigorous in our investigation around those applications, not necessarily take things at face value, but to dig deep and to challenge and ask questions.
All he got for lying was a gun licence. But that's not good enough.
Someone's integrity is a key thing for us to understand. A lack of integrity would tend to show that someone is unsuitable to have the privilege of holding a shotgun or firearms certificate.
I feel so strongly about the gun licensing that I don't want anybody else or any other family to ever go through what me and my dad go through every day.
Having that contact with the families and trying to provide the best possible service for them in such a terrible time is a privilege to be able to try and do.
You know, you walk down the streets and you see the families with the kids playing in the park, and just everywhere you go, reminders, you know.
Kelly was my twin sister and my best friend, and living without her every day takes more strength and sometimes takes all my strength, I guess, just to get up and get through the day. Processing the girls on top of Kelly is almost incomprehensible. I can't even process that I've lost the girls as well.
Yeah.
What did they do to deserve it? Absolutely nothing.
And what does Mummy call you?
Baba.
In my head, sometimes I just think of them at home. A whirlwind of fun and smiles and trouble, and that they're just carrying on like normal. And then it just sometimes hits you like a wave that they're not.
Say bye.
Bye.
Lulu, say bye.
Bye.